What's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to walk you through one of the critical steps that we are doing in the business right now, and that is designing out and implementing email flows. We have an upcoming public launch for our product Ralee. We've been in beta for about 60 days, and now we are putting all the final steps on getting this thing ready to go public, launch the paid version. And so one of those critical steps that we are doing is to work on email flows. That's designing those out, figuring out what the sequence and cadence is for those emails, what the content and copy is for those, so we can take that and then get people to go from free trial to converting to paying users and hopefully continue to scale a business. And so if that sounds like something interesting to you, stick around. I'll walk you through. It'll be a little bit of the day in the life, a little bit of showing you how I design it, all that good stuff. So stick around and we'll get into it. But before we get into that a little bit, I want to talk about 4 key things that these emails are supposed to do. First off is education. We really want to make sure that people are getting the most that they possibly can out of the first 7 to 14 days of Ralee, so that when they use the product, that they're more likely to stick around for longer. Secondly is trust. We really want to make sure that people start to trust the product and trust us as being domain experts in the space of product design. More trust, more likelihood people stick around. Third is we want to create urgency. We want to provide an offer or a special promotion that gives people a reason to upgrade right in that moment rather than just waiting for longer and longer. So offering incentives to early beta users, offering promotional discounts, really anything that incentivizes a quicker purchase and a quicker reason for some to convert from a trial to a paid version. And then lastly, the primary goal of all of these is to convert people from a trial to a paid version. And so all of these things play part in staying top of mind, ultimately drive people to go from a free/trial version to a paid one. And it's really easy to forget as a product designer, as you're building out things, that emails is kind of that last thought that you think of designing, but it's so critical and so important when it comes to creating your own product. So now that you kind of understand the general premise around why we're spending so much time doing this, let's go over to the computer, we'll design these out, and we'll talk through why we made the choices that we did. Okay, to kick it off, we're actually going to go into ChatGPT and tell it what our scenario is. We're going to tell it who the users are. We're going to tell it what we want those emails to do. And then we're going to tell them the scenario of it being a 14-day trial, and then we're trying to convert people. And then we also want to make sure we're educating people in the product design space so that we can get a general outline of what emails we need to send. Okay, so we just got finished typing it in to ChatGPT. Let me show you what I wrote, and then we'll check and see what the outcome is. I'll give you a little TLDR. I basically said, hey, you're an expert email marketer, and you've worked with a lot of top tech brands. You helped them convert tons of customers into paying customers. And I want you to make sure that you're asking me enough questions, asking for enough materials and resources to have full context on building out an email marketing plan and the email for that. I'm launching the product Ralee, my tool, in the next few weeks. I gave it context around how many users we handpicked, and that we're going to a public launch, and that we are going to a paid-only service. And I want the goals of being able to convert people from free to paid, and then we probably want to do generally some welcome series, some nurture sequences, etc. I want the exact emails, the copy, and what the cadence is. I told them context on the product and then said, okay, go ahead and build out this specific thing for me. So let's see what it produces. Okay, it's hyping me up a little bit here. Need a few more details. Product and audience, what are 2 to 3 core features? They provide the biggest aha moments. What type of designers are you targeting? Product, freelancers, okay. I didn't give it that context. Good. Branded voice. Okay, so it's good questions that it's asking us. Once we have those, they'll map out 3. Okay, so it's giving us a little TLDR of why we're mapping these things out to start. So education, 0 through 14, we want to educate, activate, hook with value, spread across 14 days. Nurture ideas, okay, pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to go fill out these answers. I'm going to go fill out the questions that it has for us, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so we finished up the questions. We're answering those. And then we're going to go now ahead and submit this to ChatGPT and see what kind of outcomes we get. Okay, so here's what we got back. It looks like it's got 3 key sequences for us: welcome and onboarding, upgrade nudges, and then onboarding and nurture. The welcome onboarding sequences, they want to send 6 emails, 20% off, 3 months. Still not sure if probably fits your workflow. Okay, so we're doing through, we're trying to nudge them, upgrading every few days, incentivizing. Okay, that makes sense. So that's pretty good so far. I mean, with these answers, I'm like happy with the outcome, especially since I'm not a marketing expert. I think this is good. And then ongoing nurture, optional but powerful. So this is kind of like after this kind of thing, 1 to 2 times a month, we're trying to get them to come back. So this is assuming they've tried out the product and they've already kind of left and decided not to upgrade, but we want to keep sending their inbox things in case we can win back a customer. So it makes sense. 1 to 2 times a month. And these I think would be manual sends depending on what it is. Okay, so it just spit us back the first 3 in terms of the full copy. Basically says welcome. It gave us the copy here, which is the welcome. Here's how you can think of Ralee. Here's how to get started. And then tells us to insert a little 5-second GIF showing the workflow in action. Pretty accurate, pretty much what I would have done. Then email 2, day, subject line, this. I'll probably massage a little bit of the copy here, but it's a good frame of reference. And then tells you what this is, where to drop in things. Day 3, live UI. I actually think it's doing a pretty good job of saying like, hey, what the use case is. So like with 1 click, you can do this, and it tells a use case. And like, I think I'm pretty happy actually overall with what this is spitting out in terms of like some of the content and some of the like use cases that it's doing each day. I'm going to tell it to continue prompting, and then we'll go through and we'll see all those. And then we're going to move those over probably into Figma so we can get a general idea of how these look, how to design these out, so we can translate then those over to our tool, which is SendGrid. Taking a little pit stop here to get some breakfast with the wife, and this co-working has a really sweet cafe attached. It has some really good food. You like pick your items and then you have them bring them to you a la carte. But it's a huge serving for like $5, which is like pretty good. It's one of the better breakfasts I found in Canggu, Prairnon, Bali area. Just got done going through and creating or taking the stuff that ChatGPT gave us here, and we put this into an email flow, or a flow if you will, of what happens during this first 14 days of onboarding. So we went through and documented the kind of the sequence of this. So 0 to day 13, they have a different emails that come through every single time. Looks like it triggers them every 2 days. If they purchase, then we send them an automatic purchase flow, so they kind of bypass that trial period of emails. If they go all the way to the end of the trial and then it expires, then we send them this like nurture sequence of items that they can, or not items, but this nurture sequence of trial expired to try to get them to come back. So we give them some offers like we talked about earlier, every 2 days until, for the next week. Hopefully they purchase before then and they get put into there. And if they don't, then we just kind of, they're considered like a lost lead, if you will. And then we put them into an ongoing nurture along with the welcome. So we'd put them into this, like we send them one a week that's like educating them to kind of just keep them warm and do that ongoing. So that's kind of the gist of what we spent the last few hours doing, but it kind of gives you an idea of one of the pieces of building this SaaS tool that we're working on. And then we've been gathering some inspiration for email examples so we can go ahead and create our own. And so I went ahead and spent some time earlier when I was working through creating like our general flows. So when I was working on creating our general like inviting of a user to like the project, I actually had created a email template within Figma there that's really easy to translate into our email builder so that you can easily do that. And I didn't want to make it super complicated because if you get really custom complicated emails, then you have to use a developer to build out all this stuff and create that. And I just didn't think it was worth all the extra energy and effort in the beginning when we still are working on getting users on the platform. So I wanted to keep it super basic, very lightweight. And so ultimately ended up coming up with this template here that basically we'll be able to use plug and play for whatever emails we want, but where we have our little header, the title of what it is, some details, image, CTA, and then kind of just like a link if their link doesn't work. And so we'll flush those through for all of this. We're going to take and we're going to build all of these within our email builder so that we can have these triggered, ready to go for when we do the public launch. So that's what we're doing. Obviously, in this video, I'm probably not going to go through and create every single one to show that, but I wanted to kind of show you some of the stuff that we were working through, what kind of goes in behind the scenes of some of these email creations, and kind of the things that we're thinking about as we're creating a SaaS product and getting ready for public launch. So hopefully that was a helpful peek behind the scenes. I can kind of show you maybe in a later video what the final product of those emails look like, because that will take a little bit of time. I don't think we'll have time in this video to cover it. Now that'd be pretty in depth, but hopefully you found some value in this video. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. So you can get a better understanding of why it